She sells seashells on a seashore, but the value of these shells will fall due to the laws of supply and demand. No one wants to buy shells because there's loads on the sand. Step one, you must create a sense of scarcity. Shells will sell much better if the people think they're rare, you see. Bear with me, take as many shells as you can find and hide them on an island. Stockpile them high until they're rarer than a diamond. Step two, gotta make the people think that they want them, really want them, really fucking want them. Hit them like Bronson. Influencers, product placement, featured primetime entertainment. If you haven't got a shell, then you're just a fucking waste, man. Free, it's monopoly. Invest inside some property. Start a corporation, make a logo, do it properly. Shells must sell, that will be your new philosophy. Swallow all your morals, they're a poor man's quality. 4. Expand, expand, expand. Clear forest, make land, fresh blood on hands. 5. Why just shells? Why limit yourself? She sells seashells, sell oil as well. 6. On, sell stock, sell diamonds, sell rock, sell water to a fish, sell the time to a clock. 7. Press on the gas, take your foot off the brakes, then run to be the president of the United States. 8. Big smile, make big wave, that's great. Now the truth is overrated, tell lies out the gate. 9. Polarize the people, controversy is the game. It don't matter if they hate you, if they all say your name. 10. The world is yours. Step out on the stage to a round of applause. You're a liar, cheat, a devil, a whore, and you sell seashells on the seashore.
Where my triglycerides at? One and all, welcome. I'm Nick Muniz. This is Nick's Nonfiction. Today on the show, we have got Stephen J. Dubner's SuperFreakonomics.
What the Sigma?
Yo Mama defies the law of economics. Plenty of supply, zero demand. Freakonomics lived on the New York Times bestseller list for an astonishing 2 years. Now Stephen J. Dubner and Stephen J. Levitt return for more iconoclastic insights and observations about super freaks. The point of this book is to make you rethink how you analyze things. Become a freak. Which is more dangerous, a gun or a swimming pool? Annually, more people die by swimming pools than by guns. So do we have to ban chlorine? What do school teachers and sumo wrestlers have in common? What should be feared more, snakes or French fries? What grade did the socialist student get in economics? Top marks. How is the KKK like a group of real estate agents? All of your questions will be answered today. I don't understand why everyone thinks the KKK are racist. At the meetings, there's always black people hanging around. About the author, Stephen J. Dubner. We've done it once before, we're not doing it again. Go back, check out Freakonomics, the original. It's a pretty fun one. I went a little hard on Dubner, so maybe we'll take it easier this year. These are great arguments. 3 economists, they go hunting, they come across a deer. First economist takes aim, fires, but the bullet misses a little to the left. Second economist aims, takes fire, bullet misses to the right. The third economist starts celebrating, woohoo, we hit it! Freakonomics by Stephen J. Dubner, Chapter 1, Drunk Driving. Many of life's decisions are hard. What kind of career should you pursue? Does your ailing mother need to be put in a nursing home? You and your spouse already have 2 kids. Should you have a third? Imagine you're gone to a party at a friend's house. He lives only a mile away. You have a great time, perhaps because you drank 4 glasses of wine. Now the party's breaking up. While draining out your last glass, you dig into your pocket for your car keys. Abruptly, you conclude, this is a bad idea. I am in no condition to drive home. Why do so many people get behind the wheel after driving? Maybe because this could be the most sobering statistic yet. Drunk drivers are rarely caught. There's just 1 arrest for every 27,000 miles driven while drunk. That means you could expect to drive all the way across the country and then back 3 more times, chugging beers the entire time before you get pulled over. People have their cop paranoia. Oh my God, they're right behind me. You drive 27,000 miles before you get pulled over. The average American walks about half mile per day outside his home or workplace. There are some 237 million Americans 16 and older, and that's 4.43 billion miles walked each year. Okay, stay with me. If we assume that 1 of every 140 of those miles walked are drunk, the same proportion of miles that are driven drunk, then 370 million miles are walked drunken each year. What is Stephen J. Dubner getting at here? It's safer to drive drunk. What are you supposed to do, walk across the country? You're more likely to get hit by a car walking drunk. Nobody was going to tell you, not until Daddy Niche came around, okay? It is safe to drive drunk. You guys are ready for this. I have walked marathons while drunk. The Uber surcharges, they'll cost you an arm and a leg out there. Sometimes it's safer. Statistically, it is safer. But statistically, my grandma. I get to drive drunk if we're doing statistics and science, okay? A cop pulls over a car in the middle of the night. Sir, do you realize how badly you were swerving between the lanes? I've had 8 drinks, officer. That's no excuse. Let your wife drive. He's getting at something else here. Women and driving statistics. So as you leave your friend's party, the decision should be clear. Driving is safer than walking. It would be safer, obviously, to drink less or to call a cab. Honestly, do you want to wind up like one of those memorials on the side of the highway? If you get a good enough lawyer, you could kill someone behind the wheel and get off. I'm not kidding. It is more dangerous to walk drunk. You leave in your friend's party. The next time you put away 4 glasses of wine at a party, maybe you'll think your decision a little bit different. Or if you're too far gone, maybe your friend will help you sort things out, because friends don't let friends drive drunk. Oh, how cute, Stephen J. Dubner. I said I'd go easy on him. Hey, you just gave us some lethal statistics, Stephen. I'm about to pound a handle and go for a cross-country road trip. Could you believe it, guys? Sometimes drunk driving is the safer option. They're going to, censor me just for saying this. Bro, it's statistics. We love science here. This is Freakonomics. You guys weren't ready for this. It might hurt your brain to think about. No, Nick! All rules are hard and fast. Everything I know goes by the rules. Statistically, in your utilitarian world, it's actually safer, mathematically, to drive drunk. The U.S. charity Smile Train, which performs cleft repair surgery on poor children around the world, recently spent some time in Chennai, India. When one local man asks how many children he had, he answered 1. The organization later learned that the man did have a son, but he also had 5 daughters who apparently didn't warrant a mention. Smile Train also learned that midwives in Chennai were sometimes paid $2.50 to smother a baby girl. Okay, we're getting a little bit deeper with the Freakonomics. I'll pay you $2.50 to kill my daughter because we only want sons over here in the East. And so, putting the lure of incentives to good use, the charity began offering midwives $10 for each baby they took to the hospital for cleft surgery. This is some good stuff right here. Oh, they'll pay $2.50 to kill your daughter. Well, now this charity comes in and they pay people $10 to take their daughters to the hospital. Well, guess what, Stephen J. Dubner? There's some evil fucks out there. So I'm going to put on my evil hat right now. How about this? I go to Chennai and I pay midwives $15 to smother babies again. Is money the answer? See, Stephen, he uses these statistics to say, well, by lefty logic, if we just give the state more money, then everything will be fixed. So there's corporations, there's kind of entities out here that don't care about your best well-being. That's irrelevant. Helicopter. You gonna choke your kid to death? You're ignoring the fact that you would be monetarily better off, okay? Everything is hard and fast. We always have to follow the rules. Dubner, he's right in this particular case. An Indian girl with a cleft palate, she's going to grow up to stimulate the economy more than a baby coffin, all right? This might be a little too hard for people, but once you start bending the Freakonomics around, money can start to muddy the waters. Let's just go back to drunk driving, have a little bit of fun. A man at a BAC of 0.2 is statistically a safer driver than a woman. That's the song that plays when chicks get in a car. They fucking check their phone. They move the seat all the way forward, make sure the rear view's pointing at them. Men drunk driving get in less accidents than sober women. it's illegal to drive drunk. It's illegal to drive with 2 X chromosomes. These chicks are crazy. Welcome to SuperFreakonomics. Chapter 2, Prostitutes and Santa. One afternoon not long ago, on a welcoming cool day toward the end of summer, a 29-year-old woman named Lashina sat on her hood of an SUV outside the Dearborn Homes, a housing project on the south side of Chicago. Lashina had a beaten-down door with locked eyes. She seemed beautiful. She had a pretty face, framed with straightened hair. Yeah, that was a weave, Steve.
Joe Biden.
Lashina was talking about how she earns her living. She describes 4 main streams of income: boosting, roosting, turning tricks, and cutting hair. Boosting, she explains, is shoplifting and selling the swag. That's how a white dude says it. Are you going to sell me some swag, miss? Multiple streams of income. You can't blame her. Roosting. This is when you look out for a local street gang that's selling drugs. You hooty-hoo if the cops are coming. The worst of the 4 jobs she had was turning tricks. So Dubner, he's got to get on his lefty high hocks. Oh my God, women have it so bad. They get to have sex for money. It's so bad. Let's stay with it, bro. We're lefties today. I'm not a righty. I'm not nothing. I don't give a fuck. Dubner, he refers you to the economist Andre Ichino and Enrico Moretti. They analyzed personal data from a large Italian bank, finding that female employees under 40 years tend to miss work consistently on 28-day cycles.
It would be so awesome.
Hey, bitch, shove a tampon up there and come to work. Oh, we don't get paid enough. You take more time off. Oh, treat us equal. But you have to pay us for our time off.
Holy crap.
It all makes sense, guys. Everything is legit. Plotting these absences against employee productivity rating, the economists determined that this menstrual absenteeism accounted for a 14% reduction in productivity.
This is a certified hood class.
Kind of sick and tired of it, guys. 2024, can we clap back a little bit at these feminists? Pay us more! You're hurting my GDP by 15%. What, we just got to treat them even? Yeah, we take a day off a month. Maybe you're smarter, but you deserve less money. This isn't about balance, okay? Other ways women don't know that they're hurting themselves, Stephen says. In the WNBA, they have 13 teams, and just 6 of them, again fewer than 50%, are coached by women. This is actually an improvement from the league's 10th anniversary when only 3 of the 14 coaches were women. Women, they want men to include them, but women, they don't even include women. Shots fired. Bro, these are just statistics. You think I'm making this stuff up? There's one labor market woman who have always dominated. Prostitution. This is your job, ladies. Its business model is built upon a simple premise. Since the immemorial of overtime, men have wanted sex more than they care to admit. Oh, I'll admit it, Stephen. I know, you're a lefty, you're not allowed to admit it. We wanna fuck! I missed the button. I deserve to be knocked down for that one. Feminists, they're all split on this. Well, actually, being a hooker is empowering, and then half of them say it's sex trafficking. So let's think about it economically. A tempted girl who receives only $6 per week working with her hands sells her body for $25 a week when she learns that this is in demand for men willing to pay the price. So we got ourselves a little market here. All these girls on OnlyFans, maybe that will affect their projections for future projections. Actually, I'm standing at a 1,000,000-point position. Bosness. These ladies on the streets, they're doing more business than any businessmen. I don't think anything he says. Converted into today's dollars, the $6 per week shop girl has an annual salary of $6,500. The same woman who took up prostitution at $25 a week earned the modern equivalent of $25,000 a year. but the Vice Commission acknowledged that $25 a week was the very low end of what Chicago prostitutes earned. A woman working in a dollar house made $76,000 a year. God bless America. Prostitutes, they're oppressed. You're making $80,000 a year. I don't want to hear another peep out of your goddamn mouth. You can't blame the girls, all right? Everything in mass society, it's economic pressure. When I was 20, I couldn't afford a car. I had to buy a motorcycle. I didn't want to, but I had to. And then I dislocated my shoulder. This is not a story of blame. I'm just saying economics is the reason these girls are hooking. Young girl, she has no economic choice. She's going to make an OnlyFans. Steve? When prostitution was criminalized in the United States, most of the policing energy was directed at the prostitutes rather than their customers. That's interesting. So Steve, the white knight, saying that cops should be harassing the girls, not the Johns. That's a good point, Steve. Let's try to think a step outwards more. If police was trying to end crime, you're supposed to go after the source. The pimp. Did Dubner not read Iceberg Slim's book? Forget the goddamn hoes and the Johns. You gotta go after the pimp, Iceberg. Over the course of nearly 2 years, Venkatesh accumulated data on roughly 160 prostitutes. In 3 separate Southside neighborhoods, more than 2,200 sexual transactions were recorded. Let's start with the wages. Turns out that the typical street prostitute in Chicago works 13 hours a week, performing 10 sex acts during that period, and earns an hourly wage of $27. So her weekly take-home is $350. This includes on average $20 that a prostitute steals per transaction. Sticky-fingered hookers. Usually crack, cocaine, or heroin is a discount of their net worth. They're all on drugs. 83% of the women in the study were drug addicts. At least 20% of American men between 1933 and 1942 had their first sexual intercourse with a prostitute. I'm telling you, this is an American tradition. Things are loosening up a little bit socially. Give us prostitution now. Santa and sluts. What was the connection there? Sluts, they beat the marriage market economy. With short-term sex investments, men are getting married less, especially with all the OnlyFans girls. Parents, they have the toy market cornered out for kids. You only get kids once a year. Why does Santa only come once a year? Because his sack is so big. So you see what the prostitutes are doing? They're like Santa's helpers that left the North Pole. They go, fuck you, Santa, we're going to work for ourselves. And marriage and prostitution and Santa kind of play that out. Chapter 3, Apathy and Altruism. In March 1964, late on a cold, damp Thursday night, something terrible happened in New York City. Someone suggesting some human beings of the most brutally selfish animals to ever roam the planet. A 28-year-old woman, Kitty Genovese, drove home from work and parked as usual at a lot at the Long Island rail station. Genevieve lived just above the shops. The entrance to her apartment was around the rear. She got out of the car and locked it. Almost immediately, a man started chasing her and stabbed her in the back. Genevieve screamed. The assault took place on the sidewalk of Austin Street shops, right outside of Long Island. On the curb some 60 yards away, he put the car in reverse, backed it down, and passed out of view. Nobody came out of their apartment to help the lady. Genevieve, meanwhile, staggered to her feet and made her way around the back of the building. But in a short time, Mosley returned. He's come back for seconds. He sexually assaulted her and stabbed her again, leaving Genevieve to die. Then he got back in his car and drove home. Genevieve was young, 29. You just said 28. On the drive home, Mosley noticed another car stopping at a red light, its driver asleep at the wheel. Mosley got out and woke the man. He didn't hurt or rob him. The next morning, Mosley went to work as usual. What the hell? Mosley? He's a good guy after all. He may have stabbed a hooker. but he woke up an old man who fell asleep at the wheel. The Kitty Genovese murder became infamous because of an article published on the front page of the New York Times. It began like this. For more than half an hour, 38 respected law-abiding citizens in Queens watched a killer stalk and stab a woman in 3 separate attacks. Not one person telephoned the police during the assault. One witness called the woman after she was dead. The murder took 35 minutes from start to finish. If it had been called when the attack first happened, the police she would not have been dead.
We can go gut for gut.
That's the only thing different in 2024. There would be a 4K video of the Kitty Genovese murder. How on earth could 38 people stand by and watch as their neighbor was brutalized? Because I'm not putting my neck on the line. This Mosley guy is going to stab me. Yes, economists always talk about how self-interested we are, but doesn't this demonstrate a self-interest beyond logic? Does our apathy really run so deep? Are you new here, Stephen? This is America. I'm surprised somebody wasn't selling ticket outside this murder. Dubner tries to explain these crime trends for the rest of the chapter. Some places in the United States started receiving signals in the mid-1940s while others had no TV until a decade later. As it turns out, there is a stark difference in crime trends between cities that got TV and those that got it late. Do I have to say it? You put on my fucking stoner glasses, man? Violence is like hyper-normalized in society, dude.
Yummers.
How wild is that? 1940s, the people that got TV started shooting each other. For every extra year a young person was exposed to TV in his first 15 years, we see a 4% increase in the number of property crime arrests later in life. According to our analysis, the total impact of TV on crime in the 1960s increased crime by 50%. We're banning guns when swimming pools are more dangerous? Well, TV does more damage than all of that. Perhaps TV made the have-nots want things that the haves had, even if it meant stealing them. Or maybe it could have something to do with derelict parenting. The TV's taking care of the kids, all right? They're accounted for. The last study of the chapter, pretty mind-blowing. They go to the ACLU. They took 10,000 prisoners and 10,000 citizens on the outside, made them take a personality test. On average, the prisoners scored higher in altruism. You're wondering why Kitty Genovese could get murdered in the street? The prisoners are evil people!
Shadow Wizard Money Gang.
Shout out my Shadow Wizard Money Gang. Chapter 4, Unbearable. Ooh, Stephen getting spicy. He's about to turn modern medicine on its head. How could it be more dangerous to have a baby in a modern hospital with the best trained doctors than on a lumpy mattress at home with a village midwife? To solve this puzzle, Semmelweis became a data detective, gathering stats on the death rate at his own hospital. He discovered a bizarre pattern. The hospital had 2 separate wards, one staffed by male doctors and trainees, the other by female midwives and trainees. There was a huge gap between the 2 wards' death rates. Why on earth was the death rate in doctor wards more than twice as high? Patients were assigned to the ward in alternating 24-hour cycles depending on the day. It's a proper study. Patients are randomized. So why do women in labor have more accidents when men deliver the baby? After examining the death rate from newborns in the 2 wards, he again found that the doctor's ward was far more lethal with the midwives. Over twice as lethal for a dude to yank a baby out of you. The answer finally came to him in the wake of a tragedy. An older professor whom Semmelweis admired died quite suddenly. He had been leading a student through an autopsy when the student's knife slipped and cut the professor's finger. The maladies he suffered before dying was bilateral pulmonary pericarditis. Semmelweis observed, identical to that form which so many hundred matriarch parents have died, the professor's case held little mystery. He died from cadaverous particles that were introduced into the system. Hold the fuck up. Dr. Feelgood, the guy at the hospital, he's been touching dead bodies. Some of that residue is left on his hands. He's double dipping. He's going straight from the morgue to the maternity ward. They call him in from trauma surgery to go deliver a goddamn baby. Subscribe, motherfuckers. I could save your child's life. You got to have a woman that's dedicated to the job. These doctors, they're creating micro lesions. This explained why the death rate in doctor's ward was so much higher than in the midwife's ward. It had also explained why women in the doctor's ward died more often while women giving birth. Autopsies, baby. In a given day, a doctor will touch a corpse and then 20 minutes later, he has his hands up your wife's uterus. Thinking maybe we should have separate doctors for birth and death? Maybe. It's just an idea. Last chapter was about Al Gore and climate change. Let's not even get into that. I'm pretty sure Miami was supposed to be underwater by 2020.
I'm SpongeBob.
SpongeBob and Patrick on Miami Strip.
It starts with
Why become an economist? So when you're in the unemployment line, at least you know why you're there.